boys, roll up, roll up! One lucky bastard, Joe.
All right, so I'm gonna give a real quick brief about how we started doing these reviews and how we got to where we are now, right? So what we started out doing was we'd be reviewing like movies, like military movies, right? Whether it be Battleship or like Saving Private Ryan or whatever it was that we reviewed, but we reviewing them for like authenticity, right? Trying to see like, hey, like do a sanity check on this movie. Like, hey, is this like this? Is this like this? So I'm like, all right, I think that's cool and a good approach for like two like active duty like sailors to actually watch Battleship and be like, oh, this wouldn't happen, that wouldn't happen. They see the way that chief like gripped that officer up, stuff like that, right? So I don't know if it was a lazy decision or a smart decision. However, it was a great decision at the end of the day. We was like, all right, we've been doing movies and every week we got to think of a movie and, we kind of trade that off, right? So, hey, Damon, you pick a movie this week. Damo, you pick a movie this week. So it's like eventually you get tired of it. Like, damn, all right, man, so it's like, all right, let's watch a show. This will give us a lot of time to kind of like stretch this thing out, right? So the show that we chose was Band of Brothers. So that's the first show that we've ever reviewed, right? So we've been kind of rolling on this Band of Brothers journey for the last like 10 weeks or something like that, pretty much all year, spread out, right? And I think it was early on in the show, in like one of our second like review clips that I saw a name on there that I can't forget, but it was the name Molly Dangerous. Right. And I appreciated all the input that we were getting from you. So I decided to ask you if you wanted to come on and do the full, complete review with us. Right. And for transparency, I also appreciate you for the listeners out there because I've been having a little bit of technical difficulties. You know what I'm saying? So we got Molly here rocking with us. And kind of keeping us calm and collected as I'm going through these technical difficulties. So, first off, I want to say, man, I appreciate all the input and thank you, man. But
no problem.
Damon, you got anything?
Yeah, man, I want to let the listeners know real quick because I know all of them. They already know about your technical difficulties, man. We always go through this, so it's not a big deal for them.
Yeah.
Just want to start that off real quick and yeah, man. I'm glad to have you on, and man, I cannot wait to get into this Band of Brothers, man. Like we've been going through this for for a long time, right? It's pretty much it's a 10-hour, in a like give and take a 10-hour series, but yep. We've been off and on a little bit. So man, I cannot wait to get it in, man. I got a lot to talk about, and I cannot wait to pretty much hear because a lot of stuff that Damo will be getting that I don't see sometimes, so I can't wait to get your insights.
You can just check
on the show.
You could just check the YouTube.
I know, Damo. I know you were gonna say that.
No, I wouldn't have said that if you wouldn't try to get me about my technical difficulties. But that's how we rolling, man. You know what I'm saying?
We roll, man.
Check the comments, read the comments, baby. So the first thing I do want to say is What brought you to? I know some of this stuff we talked about. Well, matter of fact, let me get the first question out the way. We kind of talked about it already. Are you military?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
And I knew you were going to ask that, but I'm not.
Okay. And then second question is what kind of brought you to our review?
Well, basically the last 3 years or so, something like that. A lot of YouTubers have been reviewing and reacting to Band of Brothers. And so I'm always searching around to find new faces that are talking about Band of Brothers. And so, because Band of Brothers is my favorite miniseries. So that's how I found y'all, just by searching, and I saw that y'all did a review. And so I say, hey, let me check out what y'all talking about.
Yeah. And then you came back again another week.
Yeah, well, I gotta see what y'all think about the show. What y'all see, what you see that maybe I don't see.
Yeah. Hey, so on the first review were you like, damn, these guys don't know what the hell they talk about. Let me come back and see if they'll know what the hell they talk about next week.
Yeah.
Well, no, not really, because lots of times, a lot of the YouTubers, they really don't know like this. They don't know a lot of World War II history. So, they're kind of feeling their way through it also. You know what I mean? So that's nothing new either. You know what I mean? That maybe you don't know every little bit and everything like that, because a lot of the stuff you get from, like, you know, I watched a lot of documentaries. I watched a lot of behind the scenes. I watched a lot of just a lot of World War II content in general. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I have a bit more context to certain things. So that's where it comes from.
You know, I'm glad you said that, because I don't have a lot of World War II experience, you know, and reading documentaries and things like that. So I'm glad, because when I first started watching it, I'm watching this as a show.
Right.
You know, and then of course I'm in the military, so I'm kind of looking for certain things and things like that. But other than that, you know, I'm watching it as a show. So I'm glad you said that, because I bet when you watch movies like that, you're really like, okay, this happened or this didn't happen.
I
you
am.
know.
I am.
Okay.
And the funny thing is that I didn't really get into World War II stuff until about maybe 15, 17 years ago, because when I was in school, World War II, you know, we learned about World War II, you know, basically Pearl Harbor, Hitler, concentration camps, the atomic bombs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got those things, right? And so to me, they were kind of like something I knew about, but I was detached from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So funny story is that I was dating a German chick, probably like I said, about 15 something years ago. And one day I just randomly asked her, I said, hey, did your grandfather fight in the war? And she was like, yeah. And all of a sudden that became real to me. You know what I mean? Because I'm sitting here looking at a descendant of somebody who was on the German side. You know what I mean? And so that's when it became real to me, that, oh, that's something real. You know what I mean? Other than just something in a book.
Yeah.
So it kind of. Go ahead.
So, question: when you watch content, do you watch content from every side as well? Like,
I watch content from every side, but I also, you know, tend to like things that are more factual, even though they may be scripted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I like Band of Brothers so much. So, for example, like from the other side, there's a German movie called Downfall, and it's about the last days of Hitler being in his bunker and stuff like that. What he did in his last days. That was a German movie. It was really good. You know what I mean? So it kind of has like some firsthand accounts and stuff like that from people who like one of his secretaries who was there. You know, so to kind of give people information on it. So I tend to like things that are a little bit more factual versus a fictional narrative that they made up to kind of, you know, to make it entertaining. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So you would, and I think it's crazy how they put together the show where they actually, like, you know, grabbed you know, these guys, a lot of these guys were still alive, and they interview winners. They got to meet them and talk to them and like get all these. And I know this from listening to the companion podcast, right? And I think I only listened to it for like episode 5. I want to say that was the episode that was more about winners. Was it 5? But
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Crossroads.
So the Crossroads. Yep. Episode 5. So, but I listened to the companion podcast and I realized that, damn, like they got a lot of information from like these actual guys. And that's when, that's what made me, I didn't know that going into it. Right. So that's what made me take the show even more serious. You know, when they was like, yo, did he really piss, you know, such things like, yeah, like all of that stuff, you know, really happened, you know? So, but I got a question for you. So you get, I'm assuming that you get like a new update alert, right? And then you go to the podcast and you just fast forward to the review, right? It's all right. I mean, it's all good.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It all depends on like what I'm doing that day.
Yeah,
because sometimes I'll let it ride and see, you know, what y'all are talking about, because, you know, because I kind of look at y'all as like inside baseball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, so I have to kind of think about what you're talking about and try to you know, to understand what you're talking about. You know what I mean? When y'all are talking about Navy stuff and, you know, the stuff that y'all are doing. But, you know, I know also that you do life stuff, you know what I mean? Talk about things that happen in your life and as well.
Yeah.
So it all depends. It all depends on what the subject and how's it going. It's like, okay, can I understand what he's talking about? Because I don't like to talk about, or I don't try to comment on something I have no idea about.
Right, yeah. Well, because the reason why I asked that, right, because I thought it was funny. Like one time I had uploaded I forgot which episode. It was like a 3.5 hour episode. And like 30 minutes later, I got some. I was like, "Yo, I'm getting some good intel from Molly." I'm like, "Hold up, dude! Like, it's no way he got to that episode that fast." But I mean, it don't. Right. However, but I'm like, man, I appreciate it. It was so much, man. I think the first piece of info I got that was vital was when I was asking a question about the diversity in the group and the group of people. I'm like, damn, like, what, where is, you gave me some vital information there. I'm listening.
Yeah, because you were talking about whether if it was today, if they would have a more diverse cast of people in the company.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, but the thing is that I'd rather them be accurate. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And so like you were saying, back in that time, there would be a unit of or even a company full of just all white folks, because that's just how the military was segregated back then.
Yeah. It's crazy because if it was nowadays, they would have had to, like, it'd be like cut scenes with the black people. Like, we have to, but I do want to start, going through this show and stuff like that, right? So I'm gonna start with just my initial kind of thoughts going into this show, right? So my initial thoughts going into the show was, I heard it was good. I know it was on HBO, but I didn't want to feel like I was watching a documentary on the History Channel, right? And which those are probably really good. But I just didn't want to, I'm like, I hope I don't put this show on and I feel like I'm watching a doc. So initially, because I had never watched the show, and that was I love HBO, right? So that was some of the reasons that I was like reluctant on watching the show. It's like, man, I do not want to watch a Tom Hanks passion project about like these guys. And I think it was, and I think it was by episode 5 or 6 that I realized that wasn't. It was episode 2, 3 when I really realized, oh, this is entertaining. But like episode 5 or 6 is when I was started being like, all right, this is like a top 15 all time show for me. I don't know how you felt, Damon, like going into watching it. Like, how'd you feel?
Well, when I first we started talking about it, the first thing that caught me that was on HBO, right? Because Band of Brothers, I wasn't even into none of that stuff. When we said we was gonna start watching it, I said, okay, let me look this up. And then when I say it was on HBO, I know when things on HBO, I'm automatically thinking graphic is gonna be, things like that. My mind is going there. But I tell you this, man, and I know you said from show 2, 3, whatever, man, I was blown away from the start, man. I was like ready to watch like the next show. And then I even remember one time, like, I didn't get to watch the show and we was talking about it. I said, man, let me go online and see, could I look at some reviews and stuff?
Yeah.
And man, I looked at a review and I pretty much like, I watched the show when I got done with the review, man. Like this guy this person was on there, he was talking about it. And man, it seemed like he was right sitting in the room with me talking about it, man. It was that graphic when he talked about it. Then we end up not doing it. And then I end up watching it. And I was like, man, he was like spot on the things that was happening in the show, man. So I know we kind of like a fan of it, but man, there's like so many people out there that like Band of Brothers, man.
It's like it built like a cult following,
man.
So Molly, how many times did you watch it?
Oh man, I can't tell you how many times, man, because like just about every time I find someone who hasn't seen it, I'm like, hey, let's go, let's go watch it. Let's have you watched it, whatever, you know what I mean? But it's been a number of times, man. You know what I mean? That pretty much I know every step of the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I but lots of times I go back. Also, I look at it again because there's certain things like I'll find. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like there'll be like a captain that's mentioned in the book, well, you know, this is off of a book, right?
Yeah. For
Okay,
sure.
cool. So because it's off, so this captain may have been mentioned in the book, right?
Uh-huh.
But they're not mentioned in the or highlighted in the show. But they'll pop up in the show for like one little bit, and I'm like, oh, that's him right there.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
shit,
So
yeah.
basically, you know, something like that, and you'll never see that character again. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
you'll realize that's that person. So sometimes I go back and look at little details like that. But man, I've seen it many times.
So do you have this on like an all-time show list, like outside of World War II information, outside of anything like that, just like all-time shows? Like, do you have
all
this
time.
somewhere there?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of my all times.
Okay, is it number one?
I probably would say yeah, man, because you know there's like you said, HBO, they do a lot of stuff, you know, so Band of Brothers is still there. You know, Chernobyl is that was a crazy one. So that's on my, you know, that's one of my, you know, Chernobyl, Band of Brothers. That's not the order, but I'm just saying Chernobyl, Band of Brothers, Pacific. You know, those are some of my favorites. You know what I mean? And they're in my top. They're my top 5. Say it that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think HBO probably got like 6 entries on my top 10. The Wire is, for me, The Wire is at the pinnacle.
Right.
For me.
Right.
I don't think it's like, I think season 2, okay, but I just think The Wire is it, man.
Right.
But even like their other, like the Limiteds, like The Undoing, like Mayor of Easttown, like HBO go crazy. Game of Thrones for the first every season except the last.
Well, me and Band of Brothers was like the first 4, and then after that it kind of went, you know. But that's another story for another time.
Yes. So I want to, well, Damon, first, you got a favorite episode?
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, man, you guys gonna be surprised at my favorite episode, man. It's actually the last episode, man. The episode that didn't a whole lot happen in, but the episode brung stuff together for me though. Mm-hmm. Like, and I'm telling you, like, and I think back now on like the first couple episodes, and I forgot the guy's name that he was in charge of Easy Company.
Pornography, contraband. Non-regulation clothing, contraband. This man had 200 prophylactic kits in his footlocker. How in the name of God was he going to have the strength to fight the war?
And just at the end, so at the end when all that stuff came back full circle, you know what I mean? And it kind of hit me right there. I said, man, this is a good freaking episode right here, man. And it just brought it back. So I like the last episode, man.
Yeah, they did a really good job. We talked about it a lot of times, but they did a real good job at like starting an episode. And they did a real good job at closing out that episode. And I remember, I think I talked about like up to like episode 4 or 5, I felt like an anthology for me more. And I know you read the book, Molly, so you probably got more intel than me, but I felt like the first like 4 episodes, it was like clippings of, and that's why I said I didn't want to feel like I was watching a doc, but the first 4 episodes, it felt like, all right, let's hit this major point. Let's hit this major point. Let's hit this major point with no real like, consecutive order, like storyline kind of like order.
Right.
So, but after that, the story continued and I could feel it. And I was there, you know, all the time. And I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if I'm alone on the hill there or if that show did kind of take like greatest hits for like the first 3 episodes and then like get more into like the story.
Yeah. It is kind of like that. The book is kind of like that as well. It's not just a linear. Continuous, like, linear. So is, you know, they'll you know, move from one date to another date and things of that sort. But of course, in the book, there's more stuff that fills in those in between parts. You know what I mean? Because there's certain engagements that they went through that weren't in the show and stuff like that, and certain things like that. So there's more info in there. But but you know, your assessment of it is pretty much. Yeah, that's what it is. It's kind of, you know, it kind of jumps from here to there, and as they're going into different engagements and stuff like that. So yeah. So
I like how they did the different point of views too, though. Like different people point of views of what they thought. You know what I mean? What the show was going. I like that part of it too.
Yeah. So the one thing I do want to say before we give our like final kind of thoughts and assessment on it, right? is I'm gonna have to watch this again, right, Molly, right? Because when I watched this the first time, we watched this to deliver reviews, right? We watched this to like review it. So I'm watching. I got the iPhone with me, the notes. All right, this this time, this period, this place, this a bunch of places that we mispronounced, a bunch of names. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, all right, this is this, this is this, this is this. I gotta take notes. I want to watch this just as honestly, like when you pause in and you writing notes and stuff, you miss a whole lot of stuff. So I do want to go back. This is a show that I'm gonna go back to just to sit down and enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? And we actually turned a couple people on. Somebody reached out to me. They was like, "Yo, I'm watching Band of Brothers now because of y'all." Nice, you know what I'm saying? And I know we do a bad job at our reviews. Like, yo, I'm watching Band of Brothers because of y'all. But again, man, I definitely just for the little bit that we could just get you on here just to rock with us and kind of let you know we appreciate just the engagement. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would like look forward to it. Like, I gotta see what Molly got to say about this, because I know I actually ask questions looking for people to answer. So it's always good to have people answer. So I mean, for me, with no further ado, I'm gonna give my judgment and rating on this show. Acting was superb. Acting was top notch. I would say the acting was a 4 out of 5. Right? I'm not going to give it a 5 out of 5. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. It was a couple of people that some of the more main characters that I felt like, could have done a little better on that scale. As far as the, we raved about the special effects every damn episode, right? This 20 years ago. Special effects was amazing. The sound editing, right? I don't think Damon's going to talk about sound editing, right? But the sound editing was amazing. The soundtrack was amazing. It's a theme song, right? So it's a song that you hear every time you see Band of Brothers, and you're gonna remember it, right? That's like some John Williams Jaws type shit. You know what I mean? Right. So you make sure you get something like that in there, like even on a podcast, it's that song. You feel like you're a part of that. The cult following drew me in, like, it's like I'm a part of something now as a Band of Brothers, fan, part of a family. So that was good. The writing was as top notch as a military film's writing could be. It's a lot of customs and stuff that we do when we go through that they captured, well, and the way we joke around with each other and talk shit to each other.
What if they send us to North Africa?
My brother's in North Africa. He says it's hot.
Really? It's hot in Africa?
Shut up.
So I thought that was good. And we don't have the best vocabulary. Like, military members don't have the greatest vocabulary anyway, right? So I feel like that was good, right? And I'm sorry if I offended any of our great military members with the great vernacular. You know what I'm saying? But so that was good. All together, right? To not draw it out any longer, all together, it was 5 out of 5 for me. 5 out of 5. I already said it was a top 15 show of mine, and people go crazy when you do this, right? Like, it's like top 5, top 3, top 15 show for me all time is a very high placement when it comes to the fact that I've probably seen 900 or some shows in my life or whatever. So to be top 15, that means it's better than Batman, the animated series. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's big stuff.
Yeah. That was one of my favorites also.
Yeah. So that's a big deal. So that's it. That's my assessment. Great show. And then I'm interested to see what Damon thought.
Well, let me tell you guys right now, you're not going to get all that special effects and sound editing and all that stuff from me, right? So, and another thing, I don't go back and watch movies 100 times and things like that to go back through it. I'm just going to tell you, like, hey, this is my assessment of the movie and how it went. A couple things stood out to me was the mental health standpoint of the movie. I was really like, that stuff happens. That stuff has happened and all that good stuff. And it's one of those things that stood out to me in the show. But acting was great. Movie was great. 5 out of 5 for me. Top 10 movie. And I'm saying top 10. It could be higher than that on my list. But I'm saying that because
is it a
next
top
week,
10 movie?
Next week, it could be another movie that could be my top. You know what I mean? So
is that a top 10 movie for you or a top 10 TV show?
I mean, you know what I mean, man. Top 10 TV. Yes, you do. TV series, man.
Okay.
TV series.
Okay.
But the movie was great, man, and for the listeners out there and everybody who listened to us, man, like this is a great show, man. I really think you guys should, take a look at it, man, because it's really one of those shows to make you think, and then it's history at that too, man. It's history and where people came from and how we got to where we are right now, and this is part of it. This is part of it. So, with further ado, man, I just want to let you guys. It was great, and Molly, man, we want to hear your take, on the show.
Oh man, I'm biased, so
Okay.
So like I said, it's one of my favorite top 5, if not my first on that list, miniseries. So and I've seen it many times. I go back through it, even if I don't go through the whole thing. I go through certain episodes just to see little certain details and stuff like that. But on top of that, if you ever get the chance, read, get the book, because the book, like I said, it fills in a lot of details, and there's a lot there in between those engagements and stuff like that you can see in the book. The book is really good, and it also highlights a lot of people that they didn't highlight in the show, like for example, Sobel, infamous Sobel. The show didn't say what happened to Sobel. What I mean?
True.
Do you want to know, or?
Yes, I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Man.
Okay, well, Sobel was a tragic story, right? So he ended his military career, I think, as a colonel.
Wow.
So he ended his career as a colonel after everybody had been discharged and everything and went back into civilian life. They started doing the reunions, and they would invite him to the reunions, but he would never come. Right. And so it was speculated that he never really got over what he felt was a slight against him by the company. So he would never come to the reunions. Right.
Yeah.
And I think it was in 1981 he tried to commit suicide. Right. But he did not. He wasn't successful. He ended up blinding himself. Right. And I think it was 87. Then he ended up dying in 87 from malnutrition in a nursing home. Crazy. Crazy.
That's crazy right there. I was about to ask you, like, what is one of those things that stood out that people always reviewing that you have seen and stands out in the whole and show that someone may not know, but so that part right there was good enough for me, man, because that was good.
And I'm sure it's probably so much more.
Oh yeah.
There's a documentary that and a lot of people who seen Band of Brothers would know this, but there's a documentary that is like a companion to the series that continues those interviews that they have at the beginning of it. But there's more. It's just them talking about going from training to ending the war, them talking about what they did and, being wounded and all that other stuff. And, basically they're just talking about it.
So it's pretty much the full footage of those interviews. Right. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Right. And so, and it's real good because it gives you, it shows you some of the guys that they didn't mention, that were in the show, but they didn't mention at the end of the show, like Bull Randleman and stuff like that. He was in there, Popeye Wynn, stuff like that, Highlander, a number of them who they didn't come back at the end and have their names. They're in that.
Okay. Yeah, because I was actually interested in Randleman too. I'm like, yo, what happened with Randleman? Like, I was actually interested in Randleman. Because some of these actors, you see them in other stuff, and you like,
right.
You just know the actor, like, so he's like, oh yeah, I know Randleman. Like,
yeah. And one more piece is that there is also a statue of Winters in Normandy in his honor.
Okay. Oh shit.
So there is a statue. You if you Google it, you'll see it. There's a statue of him that they put up in his honor in Normandy. He has like the disc of other veterans at the foot of his statue.
Damn.
Oh wow, it's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's wild,
Winters
man.
was a beast. Winters was a beast, though. Hey, look,
Yeah.
Marley, again, man, we appreciate you. We don't want to take up too much of your time.
All good.
We appreciate you checking in with us. Look forward to you when we do the Pacific. Hearing what you got. I think we're gonna do like 2 movies. I think we're gonna watch this Michael B. Jordan movie, Joan for Jordan or something. But then we're gonna get right back at it. We're gonna do the Pacific. We're gonna do Generation Kill. I saw it already, but we're gonna do Generation Kill. But hey, man, we look forward to hearing from you, man. Thank you.
It's all
Appreciate
good. I'll
you,
be
man.
around, man. I'll be around. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Thank you.
All right, folks. I'm out.
Yep.